Hello, listeners, and welcome to Bite-Sized Tales, your audio flash fiction podcast. In this week's story, a trip to a bar where everyone knows your name may not be quite what it appears. The Escape, written and read by Wayne Cole. A cheer of "Casey!" welcomed him as he stepped into the bar, giving him a feeling of being welcome and wanted. It was a feeling he was unfamiliar with after such a long run of misery. Before stepping in, he had been so deep in the depression spiral that the idea of just continuing his day was more than he could accept. The sign above the door naming the bar The Escape seemed like exactly what he was looking for. A few drinks to help him forget life for a few moments. There was only one problem with this warm, inviting welcome. He had never been to this bar, and didn't know a single one of these patrons. So how did they know his name? Casey took in the bar for a moment before moving out of the doorway. In the back corner sat his favorite pinball machine from the 80s, faded and well-worn. Next to it, a Pac-Man cabinet, his favorite video game from the 80s. Both games had free play signs taped over the coin slots. Instead of sports, the TV were all tuned to different science fiction programs. Off to the side, at a large table, patrons were playing a collectible card game instead of poker. No one was approaching him, but likewise, they did not look to be standoffish either. Unsure what to make of this, Casey decided to do what he had come in to do. Make the world disappear into a drunken haze. "Beer, please," he said, as he slid onto a stool at the bar. The bartender looked him over as if he were staring into his very soul. Casey felt exposed in a way he had not felt since the night he lost his virginity after prom. He did not know why he felt just as desperate for approval as he had on that night. The bartender smiled and set a glass containing a clear liquid with what looked like a Jolly Rancher at the bottom, sending air bubbles up to the top. "I think you'll enjoy this a mite more than a beer, and it'll get you just as drunk." He leaned back on a support beam behind the bar and watched Casey expectantly. One sip of the light carbonated drink brought back memories of teenage parties. Years of carefree stupidity that he both cringed at and longed for at the same time. He took a big drink from the glass and admitted that he indeed enjoyed the taste far more than any beer he had ever tasted. He had only switched to beer because of peer pressure and a desire to look tougher. The pure enjoyment told him that he had made a poor choice. "Zima?" he asked, already knowing the answer. The bartender just nodded. "I thought they stopped making it over a decade ago." "They did. Well, almost 2 decades ago at this point." "Then how?" He stared at the glass in awe. "Oh, I have my ways. You can get beer in any old place. That wouldn't be much of an escape if you didn't drink something more special now, would it?" Never doubt that Dante knows what you really want, even if you don't. The woman next to him in the bar interjected. Casey hadn't even seen her sit down. But there she was, with the long brunette hair that he loved so much, dressed in jeans and a Cobalt t-shirt. Cobalt was his favorite superhero comic as a kid. He still held a strong passion for the character, but didn't ever get the chance to talk about him. "So, you see the new Cobalt trailer?" She took a drink of a much darker liquid from her glass. "Only 5 times? Looks like after a decade of failures, they're finally going to get the character right. I don't think I've ever been more excited about a movie." Casey had momentarily lost himself in the excitement of being asked and blurted out his answer way too loudly. Then he remembered his ex-girlfriend Amy telling him what a dork he was, and how she deserved to be with a man, not a child. He'd sold his entire collection of action figures and statues just to try to make her happy, only to be left for someone with more money. His mood sank, expecting his outburst to scare away this stranger. "I know, right?" She was animated, with her hands moving wildly to emphasize her point. "I mean, they finally aren't afraid of the comics. A bright costume, unapologetically cheesy secret hideout. I've even heard that they're sneaking in his teen sidekick, Alloy." Casey was so taken aback by the energy in her outburst that he nearly fell off his stool. Before he could match her infectious energy, though, Dante spoke up. "Now, Tori, don't overwhelm the poor boy. He just got here, and there's some things to work out before you go dragging him down tangents." "Aw, Dad, you don't let me have any fun." With a pouty face, she hopped off the stool, holding her drink. "We'll talk later," she said to Casey, before heading into the back room. Dante shook his head before returning his gaze to Casey. "So, what do you think brought you into this place at this time?" "That's a strange way of putting it. Don't you mean why did I come in?" "Oh, I know the answer to that. I just want to see if you do." Something about Dante's smile unnerved him. "It's been a rough day. Just saw the name of the bar and thought I could use an escape for a bit." Dante actually laughed, and as he did, patrons around the bar joined him. "Rough day? Don't you mean rough year? Maybe rough decade?" He stopped laughing and slammed his hands down on the bar to either side of Casey. The entire bar went silent, even the TVs and the hum of the lights. "Let's be honest, Casey, my boy. You've had a rather miserable life up to this point. At least, that's what you tell yourself." He paused for a moment and grinned wide. "Why do you think that is? You who have been given so much are still so miserable. Have you ever asked yourself why?" "Hey, I don't need this," Casey yelled in Dante's face. He pulled out a $20 bill and tossed it to the bar. "Keep the change." Without so much as a glance back, Casey stormed to the bar entrance and walked out the door. "Casey!" The cheer met as he stepped through the door and found himself back in the bar. He shook his head for a moment before turning around and exiting again. Like before, the moment he stepped through the door, he was back inside the bar and met by everyone in the bar shouting his name. "Casey!" Dante pointed to a seat at the bar, and it slid back on its own. "Now, if you're done with your little tantrum, please sit back down." Anger, desperation, and discouragement warred within him for dominance as he returned to his stool. He looked up at Dante but refused to make eye contact. "What do you want from me?" Dante smiled again with no sign of malice in his face. "What does it feel like to live your entire life asking all the wrong questions?" "What is the right question then?" Dante laughed again, but this time the other patrons did not join him. They returned to their conversations and games, giving the two no further attention. "Always looking for the easy way out. No, I'm not going to provide you with all the answers. An unearned answer is worthless. Let me ask you a question, though. Who are you?" Casey thought about his answer for a moment, trying to figure out the trick in the question. "You seem to already know my name and quite a bit about me." "Oh, I know who you are. I just want to know if you do. So much of your pain in life comes from denying who you are, being ashamed of yourself, and trying to twist into someone you aren't. How can you ever hope to be happy when you twist yourself to be what you think others want you to be?" Casey thought about Dante's words and found some truth in them. "Are you saying that all of my problems are in my own head? What about health issues? All of my dead loved ones, the economy, how are those all in my head? Unlike me, you can't control your life. All you can control is how you react to it. You spend some time here and discover who you really are deep down. Then, when you step back out that door, you'll be a new man, ready to face the world. What's in it for you?" Once again, Dante smiled. "Finally, a good question." He set a contract on the bar top. 3 favors from your new life. Nothing illegal, since you worry about such things. I will even tell you the first favor before you sign. My daughter Tori is to be your roommate for a year. I will even pay her half of the rent. Casey read over the contract looking for loopholes, but all he could think about was how much fun it would be to have someone like Tori to talk to. Looking around the bar, he might even enjoy his time learning who he was. Feeling like he had already failed at life and had nothing more to lose, he signed the contract. He felt a heat wash over him as he pulled the pen away, as if a part of his very essence had left him and infused itself in the paper. Dante signed the contract, and as soon as he pulled his pen away, the paper disappeared in a flash of fire and smoke. "Very good. Now, why don't you go play some pinball while I have a talk with my daughter?" Casey smiled as he approached the pinball machine. He knew he had just been trying to leave the bar, but he couldn't think of any reason why he would have done that. Everything was perfect in the escape. Everyone knew his name and shared all of his interests. They liked and hated all the same things. It was a paradise, and he wished he could stay here forever. Dante looked at his daughter with a stern face. The contract appeared back in his hand with a flash of fire, and he held it out to her. "Well, daughter mine, it appears your final test has arrived." She took the smoldering paper from him. "He is yours, and you have but 1 year to provide me with the prophesied grandchild. Do so, and you shall have your freedom. Fail me at your own peril." She smiled and glanced over at Casey, illuminated by the glow of the pinball machine. "Oh, don't worry, Father. This one will be a piece of cake." And now a word from our author. This story was written back in June of 2025, when I was really going through a trend of darker storytelling. It felt like everything I was writing had that dark tint to it. This was also inspired by the death of George Wendt, who played Norm on Cheers. It was written about a week or so after his death, and it was very much inspired by how every time he would walk into the bar Cheers, they would shout his name. It was one more thing that I had watched as a child and watched in reruns, and then a part of that childhood is gone, reminding me of the passage of time. This chapter of Bite-Sized Tales has been brought to you under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives, 4.0 International License. Intro and outro music is Fantasy Motion by Alexander Nakarada, provided under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you enjoyed what you heard today, we would greatly appreciate reviews and recommendations to your friends. Finally, for more information about our authors, please visit bitesizedtales.com. We look forward to reading to you next time.